Steel and Flame, Book 1 of the Guilds of Avlaan series is available on Amazon. If you like fluffy wolf lolly protagonists and Japanese light novels, follow the link below to check it out.
Hello, Leonardo Cornejo here with another video, and I switched places between the one for January and the one for February because I wasn't planning to make this one. I wasn't planning to make a video about this because it was extremely unexpected. So I want to talk about it. Well, I was planning to make it, but not in this way, because the change of plans is because of something that happened in late December. Look at the keyboard. But well, change of plans. I am switching the one for January for February, and I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to monetize it anyway because, well, it's related to my business, and because fuck that guy and all those people. And anyway, this was going to be something I was planning to talk about it for February, but change of plans, I'm switching it to January. The thing is, the reason, and I will be quick with this part because I don't like to talk about people or about happenings, but about ideas, because I learned that makes you smarter. Over time it helps you refine your thoughts, refine your ideas. So I will try to, well, hey, I will try to avoid the whole thing about, well, being stupid and talk about people. I will try to make it fast. The reason I changed the plans and moved this video for today, for this month, is because of something that happened with Knox, who will probably play victim, and even though I am small enough, he will pretend I am like this big threat to his channel, and I hope I wish I was, because I'm as disappointed as you are. He started calling anyone who likes lolly a pedophile. The reason, I don't know, but I think it's because he wants to fit in with people who thinks like that, the people that trash this podcast. This guy Charlie or Penguin Zero, who didn't Moist Critical, I think is another name he goes by. He actually didn't think that at first. He did say he doesn't like it, but that as long as it was drawing it was fine and it was not a big deal. But then he switched minds, and Knox did too. But Knox is worse because he is a hypocrite. Because Knox used to say not just that, he actually was favorable. He catered to that community. He talked about lolly quite a lot. He actually had several thumbnails with suggestive lolly images. He actually spoke in favor. He liked, so to speak. In fact, I began to follow him. I subscribed to his channel because of that, because he did actually like lolly content. He actually spoke in favor of it. I mean, you know how is this kind of stuff. He didn't change his mind overnight. He's a hypocrite. He's a traitor or a liar. He either lied to his audience back then, or he's lying now. And that's the core of this video. Don't shit on your audience. Don't mistreat your audience. Don't lie to your audience. Don't act in any way that might seem hypocritical. If you support something, you stick to it. If you change your mind, you explain why you change your mind. You don't say, oh, I hate it now. No, you explain why. You don't start acting with a pure hypocrisy, and you don't roll back because he started changing thumbnails too. You don't roll back on what you believed back then. You say, I changed my mind because of this reason. You can change your mind, actually. You have the right to change your mind. But first of all, you need to explain why you changed your mind. You can't be hypocritical. You can say something and then switch to something else. Also, the change can't be that drastic, like, oh, sorry. No, sorry, that was little technical error. I'm leaving it anyway. You know I don't like to edit. I'm too lazy for that. Anyway, as I was saying, you if you change your mind on something, because you can, you have to explain it. I mean, because otherwise people will point at it as hypocrisy. And if you change your mind, you don't start running from your past. You say, well, that's in the past. This is me now. I changed my mind because of this, I don't know, because of an experience I had, because of something I went through. And generally speaking, when you change your mind, it's because it is something harmful. That's the thing with this case. Drawings aren't harmful. The thing is, you don't go and backstab your audience you made money on. You can go and insult someone you don't make money on. You can exploit things. You can actually talk against something you oppose. But unless you have already changed you have already explained why you changed your mind, and you really changed your mind, you don't attack your audience. And if you are attacking your previous audience, that's not healthy. You're better off retiring than attacking your previous audience. That's also another thing that in this case was detrimental. And the other part is your friend circle, because he was friends with many VTubers who used loli characters, who were lewd in their content, who were suggestive or even explicit. He was part of that circle of people who like loli. You don't do that. You don't backstab the circle you are part of. If you change your mind, you express it. You know, I changed my mind, I don't like this, I don't like that. You explain why, and you start anew. Not just bad mouthing the people who are paying you, who are your audience, who are your target demographic, who are your friends, in this case, for example. You don't betray your audience. You don't shit your audience. You don't, how do I say it? You don't attack people who are not how do I say it? Who are not harming you, who are not opposing you in any shape or form or hurting you. Oh, that's nice. So that's what was in the thumbnail. I am actually looking at the posts on the situation with Knox, and someone actually took his time to show the source of those thumbnails. Oh, they are nice. They are nice art pieces. That's the thing. I actually like that stuff, and he's a betrayer. He's a backstabber. He's a liar. There is scientific proof that loli isn't harmful. There was actually a debate with this guy, a hypocrite, and with a lolicon, I don't remember his name, but there is plenty of evidence that it isn't harmful, so there is no reason to change your mind so drastically. Especially because it is a lie. You can say, I don't like it anymore. I respect that. I won't make such content anymore. I think it is wrong and I won't make such content anymore. Can respect that. But going as far as to start calling it pedophilia and attacking people for it makes you a hypocrite. Also, it is false because, well, if it was that illegal, you would be already in jail. It is not. Also, there is a difference. For example, I used, and this is something that some people are like, oh my god, I used to believe communism was right and feminism was right. Why? Because I was manipulated. I was groomed into it by school, by education. In college, in high school, you are told this is the right way, this is necessary, these people are evil. You are lied to, you are manipulated, you are groomed into it. But I left. I changed my mind because I saw the evidence that I was being lied to, that it was false. You can change my mind. You can change your mind on things that are false, that are lies, in things that you are mistaken. But I don't go around saying, oh yeah, and I wasn't creating content back then. I don't go around saying, oh no, I never support that. no, I was wrong, I was mistaken. Fortunately, I wasn't making content, and if I was, I wouldn't take it down. I would have left it. Look, I was mistaken, and you can see the gradual change, because I didn't change overnight. That's the other thing with Knox. He changed it overnight, and not just overnight. He still supported people who opposed him. He still catered to the audience who opposed him. His change was so sudden, so unreasonable, so fake, and so focused on getting support from people who didn't like him anyway, that he literally began to change the thumbnails of the content he used with the content that catered to that demographic. That's the thing. You can tell when someone is lying, when someone is faking, when someone is shitting on their audience, but that kind of sudden changes. If you say no, I stopped supporting it, I just stopped liking it, I think it is wrong, you can change your mind on that. You will be mistaken, you will be brainwashed back into the how do I say it, into the herd. But that's reasonable, that's understandable. There are people who change their mind for worse. For example, Siobhan Head. She began to befriend communists and changed her mind for the worst. That can happen. That can actually happen. I respect that. I mean, that's not shitting on your audience, but you still will lose your audience. That's something important to notice about that. Even if you don't shit on your audience, if you antagonize your audience, you will lose it. And since you already built an audience with that, and you are antagonizing it, the people who were not your audience, the people who stood against you, so to speak, in the past, they won't become your audience. That's why I don't recommend that. If you change your mind, you start explaining why, and you try to bring your audience to your side. If it is something important and you change your mind, for example, let's say you say, no, I'm not a communist anymore, here's why. You explain why. That's why it is not shitting on your audience. If you explain it politely. This is wrong, here's why. Here's why I changed my mind. Here's why I'm saying this is wrong. I realized I was wrong at that. I realized I made a mistake. My views were mistaken. When you do that, and some people have done that, ironically it's often, for example, I was a communist and I was mistaken and here's why, and they don't really lose many of their audience. They don't lose as many of their audience as they gain from the other side. That's the difference. When you shit on your audience, you come as disingenuous, you come as fake, you come as a liar, you come as a backstabber, which is what happened to Knox, and I hope he really loses everything he built on lies. But if you say, I changed my mind because I think it was wrong, you admit you supported it, and you gain the audience that opposes it. That's the difference between changing your mind honestly and being a grifter. Another example, and this is in politics, Milo Yiannopoulos. This guy who was like, oh, Donald Trump, Daddy Trump, and all that stuff. He was like a really hard supporter of Trump, and he was openly homosexual, and that was part of his platform. You is homosexual Trump supporter, and people kind of liked him, people trust him. And then he literally went to conversion therapy, or I don't know how he changed his mind on the homosexuality thing, and now he's strict, and homosexuality is evil and a sin, and he was bad. And you could say, well, he changed his mind or whatever, but changing your own sexual preference, that looks more like a grief than going back into the closet. And he also was like disappointed with Donald Trump, and he started to antagonize him to the point of sabotaging him, and he actually kind of did that with the whole thing with Kanye and all that. That's wrong, because you are now betraying your audience. You are not explaining why you changed your mind in a concise way, you are not changing why you are leaving, and instead you are antagonizing your audience. You can change your mind. You can switch. You can say, no, I am changing. I am leaving this. And there are cases in which it is less severe, but again, you need to be respectful. For example, let's say you are changing of music genre. Let's say you are a rapper, and you want to move to, I don't know, heavy metal. You are evolving. You are not degrading like Justin Bieber, because he went from pop to rap. No, he was actually upgrading to rap. He was also not degrading. But if you go from rap to pop, yeah, you will be degrading. No, you say, no, I want to play metal now. I like metal. I actually have been mixing a bit of metal in my rap, so that's fine. But you, first of all, a gradual change is better, and you say, well, the reason is I started liking this and I like it better. It is easier when it is not a serious matter. When it is not something you go antagonizing, it is easier to avoid shitting at your audience, attacking your audience, antagonizing your audience. When it is a serious matter, which is the problem, for example, with Knox, it is harder to not antagonize them, because it's a serious shit. I mean, calling someone a pedophile over what you like in fiction, it's serious business, and it is wrong. He is in the wrong. But let's say it was not that severe. Let's say he says, I don't want to make anime related content anymore, and I want to focus on, I don't know, on travel videos. I want to focus on travel videos, and I'm leaving behind my whole VTuber avatar, and I'm leaving all the anime related thing behind. There are two ways of doing it. And yes, sometimes channels and content creators change that way. Sometimes they say, you know what, I'm moving on from this thing I liked to this thing I also like. And some even say, I don't like that thing I liked anymore. I don't like it that much anymore. For example, many comic book content creators began to move on to other things, to philosophy, to anime, to other kinds of entertainment, to creating their own things. For example, the Raging Golden Eagle is more focused now on his own creations and on talking about societal issues, because he started to lose interest in comics. He started to lose interest in Western entertainment. He still talks about anime, but he was never a review channel. You can make that gradual change and say, well, the thing is, I lost interest in this thing for this or that reason, and you don't necessarily need to erase all your past. Or you can say, you know what, I'm really leaving this. I'm really leaving this behind. There are a few anime related content creators who have said, I'm done with anime forever. I'm gone. I'm leaving. Some actually erase all their content, and some say, I'm keeping it. If you erase it, you are antagonizing your audience. If you leave it as it is and you say, I'm moving on to something else, some in your audience, depending also on how you say it, you say, I lost interest, or I haven't spent that much time on it anymore. I'm now only watching the old stuff, or I'm moving on to whatever. There are different ways of doing that. I don't remember who actually had that change. One of the content creators I followed, and I still follow, did that. I said, I no longer want to make content on this topic anymore. I lost interest, and I'm moving on to a new topic. The things I made before, they are staying, but I'm moving on to a new topic. An example is this guy in Latin America, Drosrod. He used to make videos of different styles. He was basically looking for a style to stick with. Then he stuck for a while with top 7 videos. He still makes them, but he said so himself. I still make them when I feel like it, but he focuses on other things too. He makes other types of content too, and he prefers that other type of content. We are not leaving just because of that. There are many who have changed their spin, but we don't leave because of that. Because they say, I'm changing my style, I'm focusing on other things now. And I want to tell you, I am not going to make any more of that thing you used to like, but I hope you still like the thing I'm making now. That's the difference. You are polite to your audience when you make that change. For example, let's say I decided to stop writing, not gonna happen, but let's say I decided to stop writing fantasy and science fiction. I am going to focus on, I don't know, romance. I got hit in the head, got brain damage, and now I'm going to write a steamy romance for girls because I got brain damage. I can't write fantasy. I lost all my creativity and part of my intellect. There are two ways to say it. I had brain damage, I lost my inspiration, and now this is my new inspiration. I am moving on from that. I hope you still like my work, and if you don't, I hope you like my old work. That's moving on. Shooting on your audience is, oh, I realized it is better. I realized romance is the superior choice and it is more profitable, and everyone who likes fantasy should grow up. You don't do that. You don't do the latter. You don't say that. Or for example, let's say I decide to stop writing fantasy and science fiction because I grew fond of detective mysteries and historical fiction. Not likely to happen because I actually always end up adding magic and a lolly on everything. But let's say I decided that. Well, the right way to say it is, I'm moving on to this new style. I might return to fantasy and science fiction because I still like it. It's not as if I had brain damage and I stopped liking it. But I might not write that for a while. I hope you like this. I will give it a shot to detective mysteries, and I felt like trying it. So I'm going to move on for a while. I might not write fantasy anymore. I don't know. But I hope you like what I do. That's the right way to do it. The wrong way, shitting on your audience, is, oh, I grew up and I think you should grow up too. That's something really shameful that many do. I grew up and I am working on something more mature now and you should grow up too. Why are adults watching this? Why are adults reading this? That's stupid. Stop trying to act like that. That's immature actually. But people do it. And that's the wrong way. If you make a change, you don't attack the people who used to be your audience. If it is something serious, something profound, something important like politics, ideology, something like that, you explain. For example, let's just say some people who used to be Christians, or on the contrary, who used to be pagans. I am a pagan, by the way. Let's say I decide I am born a new Christian. Let's say I changed my mind. Let's say I say, well, you don't start saying, oh, but paganism is the devil, and things like that, because that's shitting on your audience. You say, well, the thing is, I began to read more about Christianity, and I think that's the right way. That's the way I want to live. That's the way I want to go. And yeah, I used to say all these things, and I think I'm mistaken, and all I can hope is that people who were on the same path find their way too. And I will try to guide them too. But I don't hate you for not thinking the way I do, because I know there is deception in the world. I know there are lies. Yeah, that won't be me. I don't think. On the contrary, I used to be a Christian and became an atheist, and then I became a pagan because I realized there is more than what atheists tell you. And I was an atheist because I was heartbroken of all the pain and all the bad things, not because of some sort of enlightenment. I realized when I saw all these other atheists who are the atheists for the same reason I was, I saw how nasty and toxic they were. Don't mind him, he's just playing. I was like that too. And when I realized I was an atheist all out of spite and not out of belief, I became a pagan. And not that kind of pagan that sacrifices goats and stuff like that. Those are stupid, that's for sure. No, I became the kind of guy who burns incense and prays to the spirits. And I moved on. And I don't attack atheists. And I don't attack Christians, because I don't really care that much about that. Well, I do know there are atheists who are really miserable people because they are not atheists because of a lack of belief or because of science, but because of spite. It's not healthy. Don't do that. It will hurt you. The thing is, you can change your mind, you can change your tastes, you can change your style, you can move on to something. For example, I used to pretend to like. I actually think I have returned to my, how do I say it, to my true essence at this point of being a nerd who likes anime, who likes video game, who likes lolly, who likes to write fantasy. Because actually during my teenage years, when I was trying to find myself and I was like all this, how do I say it, immature and inexperienced, I pretended to not like these things I actually liked. I still like them, but I was like in the closet. And I pretend to like things that I don't really like, and some things that I actually like, though. Among all those things that, for example, I try to pretend I don't prefer listening to anime music instead of rap. I tried to fit in with the rap crowd because that was trendy, and I didn't really like it. But I still like Kanye West. I did like his music when he was still making music instead of politics. I don't really think he's good as a politician. He might be right or wrong, I don't really know, but he's too radical, too undiplomatic, too loud, and too creepy. I mean, the whole Balenciaga mask thing is creepy. I think he's trying to steer a conversation, and I don't really know. I think he's trying to like get attention with that, but I don't like that style. I am more diplomatic when it comes to that. And seriously, the Balenciaga BDSM mask, it's scary. It's creepy. So no, don't do that. You're hurting yourself. I read this interview he had where he actually explained the rationale of all the things he does, and he kind of makes sense, but I don't like it. But I like his music, and that's one of the few rap music I still like. I used to like Eminem, but I liked his Slim Shady persona. The music he made back then, I still like it. Well, I stopped liking him when he began to get all this serious and brooding and all that. I tried to pretend to like it, and I didn't like it. I tried to watch and like live action shows, and even though some of them I still think they are, well, they are not garbage, you shouldn't watch. I don't like them. I realized I wasn't liking them. I was just consuming them to fit in, and I was just consuming them because other people like them. That's how you explain why when you stop. Actually, now that I think of it, I'm explaining why I stopped liking something, and that's how you explain it, and that's how you explain you are moving on. For example, let's say I'm not going to talk about live action content anymore because I don't watch it anymore. I actually stopped watching it before creating content. Let's say I was like this movie reviewer or something, no? I say I don't watch live action content anymore because I realize that I don't like it, so I'm going to talk about anime, I'm going to talk about animation, I'm going to talk about video games, I'm going to talk about the things I like. I'm moving on. And you are fine if you liked my old content, and I hope you liked my new content. Instead, if you say, oh, because live action shows are for stupid people, no, don't do that. Yes, some live action shows are really stupid, and they are an insult to intelligence, and some people are really stupid for liking them, but don't generalize that much. Yeah, I know all live action adaptations of Netflix so far have been horrible, and people who like them are bad in terms of taste, but don't generalize as absolutely. There are good live action things. There are live action things I actually still liked, for example, Defiance was good. Most of the good live action shows are either detective mysteries or science fiction. It is rare to see good live action fantasy. And let's face it, if you don't think soap operas are good, pretty much no live action dramas are good. Some comedies are good, some are bad. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia is really funny still, but I don't like it that much. I really prefer animation, I really prefer fantasy over other genres, I really prefer science fiction over other genres. So, and trust me, I don't like them at all these late night talk shows. They are actually not common in Mexico, but I try to watch them to understand American culture, and I don't like them, and I don't like reality shows. I try to watch them to fit in, and I hate them. They are horrible. Pimp My Ride was funny, but it was because it was stupid. It was dumb. Same with Jackass. It was because it was dumb. You are not really enjoying it. You're laughing at them, not laughing with them. That's not healthy. And when I realized I wasn't happy, I was unhealthy doing that, I moved on, and that's how you say it. When I realized this was bad for me, I moved on, and I know some people might like it, but I don't. You don't call them pedophiles for liking lolly. You say, I don't like it anymore. I feel there is something wrong in it, and I want to move on, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. That's how you do it. You don't call your audience pedophiles. You say, I think it's wrong because of this. I think maybe you should move on with me, but I'm moving on, and I'm not going to address that topic anymore. I don't want to talk about it, and I don't want to watch it anymore, because I think there's something off. And even if you're polite, even if you are not shitting on your audience, even if you are not trying to antagonize them, if you are as respectful as I am describing, recognize that you still risk losing your audience. That you still risk people will be polite, some will be educated and say, yeah, I get it, but I really like that content, so I'm moving on without you. You are moving on, so am I. I'm leaving. Goodbye. That's the best reaction you can get from people who will leave. And some will say, I still like it, or I still like you, so you are moving on, but I'm not changing my mind. And I will still follow you, but I'm not changing my mind, and I don't agree with you. That's the best case scenario with people who don't change their mind about you. But you are not attacking your audience, you are not antagonizing them. You are saying, I think this is wrong, so I'm moving on. I'm leaving it because I think it is wrong. I hope if you disagree with me that you still respect me, and if you disagree with me and you choose to leave, that's up to you. But what Knox did was basically, without any warning, without any explanation, started calling everyone who disagrees with him a pedophile. That's wrong. And I know there are many people who are still ignorant about it and still insist, especially conservatives and pretty much everyone on the left, who insist that lolicon equals pedophilia, and some of them are people I should follow and respect, who had already that mindset when I started to follow them, and they never changed their mind, and they never explained why changed their mind. People I respect who don't like it but respect others who like it. For example, someone who thinks it is absolutely wrong, but I respect him to some extent because he at least recognizes the law is not what he would like, is this guy Ricky Talao, who he's a lawyer, and I follow him because of the legal stuff. An example of someone who doesn't really like it or is not interested, but he respects people who like it, are Hirohei and Reb, who actually got in a... Well, Knox tried to drag him down in drama because Reb exposed him. Well, he talked about the matter, he didn't really even expose him, but he talked about the matter, and Knox didn't like it and tried to drag him down in drama, which is also why I think he should be forgotten forever, because he's wrong. He's wrong in his behavior. But well, the rep says like, I don't like it, I don't really feel like talking about it that much, but if you like it, move on. It's your thing. It's your thing, not mine. I don't hate you. You're not evil, you're not a pedophile. I just don't like it. You have the right to not like things. For example, I don't like chili peppers. I don't like hot sauces. And I'm Mexican. Pretty much all other Mexicans like them. I have to live with that. But that doesn't mean I think those who like them are inferior to me or morally wrong. For example, as I said, these people they don't like it, and they say, well, I don't like it. Some of them even say, I think it's wrong, but I won't mess with you. That's the difference. That's where Knox was wrong. because he started calling everyone a pedophile for liking it. That's where he was wrong. That's what he did wrong. And that's what you don't do. You don't attack your audience. If you already built an audience with that, you don't attack them. Rekieta has the freedom of saying, well, he really attacks them. He really attacks us. But he has the freedom of being consistent. And of also saying, well, it is not illegal. I think it should be, but it is not. Of doing it respectfully. You can actually speak things you oppose without being aggressive to those who like them. It is harder when these people are already antagonizing you, and that's why I'm very aggressive against feminists, against communists, because they are already antagonizing me, and actually I began to oppose them because of that hostility and because of facts. I mean, when you talk to someone whose family survived the Soviet Union, you can't support communism anymore. And when you leave it in your own that feminists constantly attack you and antagonize you, and you start to study and you start to conduct research and you start to read things that prove that it has always been like that, read the works of Ernest Belfort Bax and you will understand. You can't avoid antagonizing them because they are hostile. But for example, I strongly disagree with pretty much everything about anarcho-primitivists. I think they are mistaken. The world doesn't work that way, but they are not actively antagonizing me. I don't agree with everything on everything with anarcho-capitalists, even though I am technically one. I don't agree with them on everything, but I agree with most, and I don't need to antagonize them actively. I disagree strongly with everything in Islam. I think actually the religion itself has many wrong things in its value system, but I don't go around attacking Muslims individually because I don't hate them individually, because they don't antagonize me individually, at least not the ones I know. But I don't think the religion itself is too hostile to people like me. You don't antagonize your audience even if you disagree with your audience. That's what Knox did. He antagonized his audience. He could say, you know, I used to like it, but I think it's wrong because I had this experience, I lived this, I learned this, I changed my mind because of this. You can change your mind. You can think it is wrong. You don't need to like it. If you don't like it, just please get the fuck out and stop pestering us who like it. That's the first thing. And second, if you don't like it, you explain why. If you think it is wrong, if you just don't like it and you say I don't like it anymore, you stop talking about it and you don't attack the people who like it. If you don't like it because you think it is wrong, you explain why. For example, I think, and this might hurt people in the Philippines, I think balut, or balut, I don't know how do you pronounce it, is dog fetus served as food. It's an atrocity. I don't like it. I would never eat it. But it is not because of you. I don't think you are able for eating it. I find the idea of eating the unborn extremely awful and unpleasant. I also find the idea of eating anything raw extremely awful and unpleasant. I wouldn't eat it. But I don't think it should be illegal. I think if you are going to stop eating it, you must decide for yourself, think for yourself, and think why I don't like it. I think it is unethical. But if you still want to eat it, go ahead. I won't judge you. I won't judge you for it. I will never eat it. I will never touch it. I think it is wrong. I think it shouldn't exist, to be honest. But if you still want to eat it, I don't hate you. I don't think you're evil. I don't think there is something wrong with you. If you want to eat it, go ahead. I actually sometimes exaggerate my response to some things. For example, to pineapple on pizza. I'm like, oh, the eating pineapple on pizza makes you subhuman. I'm exaggerating. Please, bear with me. I'm exaggerating. I don't like it. To be more specific, I don't like the combination that is Hawaiian pizza. I don't like processed ham. In general, I don't like it. I actually think it is bad for your health, and I don't like the taste. I don't like the combination of processed ham with pineapple on pizza. And actually, the thing I like the least is not pineapple, but processed ham. I don't like processed ham. I think it is bad for you, for your health. I think it has too many things that are bad for you. And I don't buy it, and I don't consume it. But everyone around me likes it and consumes it, and I won't tell them not to do it. Eat your damn processed ham. Go for it. I don't like it. More for you. I don't hate them for it. I don't think there is something wrong in them for it. There are things that are actually wrong in fiction, and particularly in hentai that I think it's wrong and it is unhealthy. And one of them is, and this is where I switch back to what Knox did, because I am using examples of things that are very inoffensive, very harmless. But let's move to something closer. Netorare, NTR, cuckolding, call it what you want. I think it is extremely unhealthy. I don't like it, and I think it is bad for you. I don't hate you particularly for liking it, but I think it is bad for you, and it is a sign that there is something off with you. You might need help. Why? You haven't hurt anyone, so I won't attack you. That's where Knox was wrong. Even if he thinks there is some correlation between loli and pedophilia, he could say, well, I think you need therapy, but no, he started talking about hurting and killing and breaking someone's legs. That's the difference. I do think there is something unhealthy in people who like NTR, who like Netorare. I think they have something unhealthy. I will explain why. Because if you like cuckolding, you fantasize about getting cocked. And if you fantasize about getting cocked, that's unhealthy. Because that means you are aroused by the idea of someone engaging in sex with your love interest behind your back. And while you are in a relationship with this person, or in general, I think it is unhealthy if you don't feel revolted by the idea of someone other than yourself having sex with your love interest. I think you have some mental health issues. I won't say you are a bad person inherently. I won't say you are a criminal. I won't say you are hurting someone other than yourself. You have a lack of self-preservation instinct, because we reproduce to preserve ourselves. The self-preservation instinct is part of the reproduction instinct. When someone has sex, especially when it comes to females who get pregnant once and they at a time, and they can't get pregnant again until the pregnancy is over. If you are attracted to someone sexually, you want to have sex with them, and this is where love and sex actually connect, because when you fall in love with someone, it is for that reason, to form this bond where you can reproduce. That's the purpose of sex. That's the purpose of love relationships. That's the thing that separates love relationships from your friends. You don't reproduce with your friends. You're looking for someone to reproduce with. If you are aroused by the idea of someone else having sex with your love interest, if you don't feel nauseated by the idea, that means you don't care about your love interest getting pregnant, having a child with that someone else, which means something is wrong with your self-preservation instinct. Therefore, you need help because something is wrong with you. But doesn't mean you are necessarily a bad person. Doesn't mean you are harmful. Doesn't mean you should get your legs broken. That's the difference between shitting on your audience and criticizing something you think is wrong, which your audience might have. I think NTR is wrong. I think Netorare is wrong. Some people might like it. Some people in my audience might like it. But I think it is bad for you. You are hurting yourself, and you might end up finding the real thing enjoyable and doing it. You might say, no, in real life I am actually revolted by it. Good, please, stay that way, don't change. Even if you like it in fiction, as long as you don't like it in real life, you're harmless. But I still think you need to check your self-preservation instincts, because there is something off there. That doesn't mean I want it censored, I just don't consume it. That doesn't mean you should be persecuted. I just think you really need help. That's the difference. I'm tackling the issue. I'm speaking against something I don't like, but I don't think you're evil. Another example. And this one, I don't like this incest, or not even soft incest. You know, this incest story is a brother and sister fall in love. I don't like them. I know they got really popular in Japan, the whole little sister archetype. Most of them are actually step siblings, but well, sometimes, especially in hentai, they are actually more straightforward, real siblings. I don't like it. I used to like it when I was younger, until I found out about some really horrible experiences people in my circle had with incest. That made me say, well, I like this in fiction, but maybe this is actually quite harmful in real life. And the more I reflected on it, the less I liked it in fiction. I still think it is fictional. I don't think the people who like it are necessarily harmful. As long as it is fiction, it is not a bad thing. They are not evil people. But I can't enjoy it anymore, because whenever I try to enjoy it, I return to that thought, to that in real life this is really harmful. If you use that argument with Loli, I respect you. I disagree, and I think people will disagree with my position on this incest fiction. But if you don't like it because of that, that's fine. But I don't think people who like it are inherently evil, or there is something wrong with them, or they should get their legs broken. I don't even think they have something, unlike with Netorare, I don't think they have something wrong. Because it is fiction, because it is not happening, because it is not real. But I really think it is I don't know, it is unpleasant. That's it. If Knox said something like what I said about Netorare, that well, there is a reason why I think it is bad, why it is harmful, and I think you are wrong, but I don't think you are bad, I respect that. If he said what I said about the incest fiction, that I find it unpleasant because of reflections I had on that, because in real life it is quite bad. And I am talking specifically sibling on sibling. I make an exception for cousins. And for not direct blood relatives. Sibling on sibling, parent on son, parent on daughter. I find that unpleasant. But, as I said, in real life it is wrong. In fiction, I don't like it, but I don't think you are wrong, or there is something wrong with you for liking it. If Knox said that, he wouldn't be attacking his audience, but what he said, breaking their legs, they are pedophiles, they are evil, that's when it is wrong. That's what you don't do. Why? Because your audience will notice there is something off with you, and they will quit. They will turn their backs on you. They will stop watching you. You can stop liking things. With Netorare, I never liked it, and I will make it clear. I think there is something off with people who liked it. With the whole incest fiction thing, I used to like it, but I began to reflect on it, and I stopped liking it because I think in real life this is wrong, and now it makes me bad whenever I watch it in fiction. And I worry about the impact it could have in society. But since there is no evidence that it causes harm, go ahead and watch your and read your incest manga. I don't mind. I just don't like it, and I don't want near me. That's the difference. I don't think you should have your legs broken. I think there is something off, but I don't think you're bad. I stopped liking it, but I don't think you're bad. I'm not attacking you. I'm not even trying to attack you. I am explaining why I don't like it. Go ahead and enjoy it if you like it. But that's the problem. Because sometimes people actually attack their audience. Don't do that. Don't antagonize them. If you disagree with your audience on something, explain it. You can actually antagonize people who are not your audience. Fucking communists, for example, feminists. But that's because you are already set on your mind that these people are not your audience. They are actually your enemies. You don't want them near your things. Shippers, feminists, communists, for example, in my case. But Knox was attacking his audience because it was people who followed him, people who were actually in his friend circle. My friend circle have people who like NTR. My friend circle have people who like incest fiction. In the case of the people who like NTR, I really hope they get therapy, they get checked, because it is not healthy for them. And the case of people who like incest fiction, it's their taste. If they don't hurt anyone, fine. I even think, and even though I find it quite unpleasant because of the things I have mentioned, I don't want to come into detail because of the things I mentioned that made me change my mind. I find it quite unpleasant. But some people say, well, let's say two siblings love each other and they sterilize themselves. They make sure they can't have children. Do you still think it is bad that they love each other? No, I don't think it is bad, because then I don't think it is bad in a pragmatic sense. I don't think it is harmful. I don't think it should be illegal. I am still disgusted by it, personally. I am still disgusted by it because of what I mentioned before. But since they are not reproducing, I even think it should be considered to legalize it. Considered, not legalize it, but we could have a conversation on that matter. I still think it is wrong. I still, on a personal level, I still find it disgusting, but I don't think it should be a reason to get ourselves alarmed. I have some controversial views myself, which some of you might even be shocked by, but I won't attack you or hate you for not sharing them with me. And I won't attack you or hate you for liking things I don't like or for having controversial views I don't have, provided they are not harmful to society as a whole if implemented. For example, you can have some really controversial views, and if I think they are harmless, I won't antagonize you. The reason I oppose feminism that hard is because of harmful things like promoting putting men in concentration camps. It is not for free. This is because I investigated, and from the start it has been a hateful ideology. I don't oppose the idea of women having the right to vote, even though, at least not entirely, even though I think they should learn to vote responsibly before voting, instead of voting irresponsibly. I don't like universal suffrage in general, even though it is happening, and I don't really care so strongly about it to oppose it actively. I don't think women shouldn't have the right to property. Some people do, but I think no-fault divorce is inhumane and should stop. It shouldn't exist, and I think it should be changed. That doesn't mean I will go heavy on it. That's my point. You don't attack your audience. If you disagree with something, you can express it without attacking your audience, without antagonizing your audience, without even bothering to antagonize people who disagree with you. That's what is often recommended in debates, even though debates have reduced to blood sport nowadays. That's the difference between Knox and Reagent. Reagent says, LOL is wrong, I think it is pedophilic, and I think it should be illegal, but it is not, and I will respect your right to still publish it. I just find it disgusting and think you are wrong. Well, that's his prerogative, and he always had that in mind. He has explained why he has the right to say it. Well, I was paraphrasing him, and I hope it wasn't insulting to him, because that's not the intention. I paraphrased what he thinks. But the difference is he doesn't think I should get my legs broken for it. He just thinks it's illegal and probably finds me disgusting. There are ways to say it. There are ways to not antagonize people. If you are antagonizing someone, it is someone you don't want nearby. It is someone who isn't your friend. And that's what Knox did. It is someone who isn't your audience. That's what Knox did. You don't do that. You don't antagonize your audience. And Knox is the current example, but I was actually going to use comic book pros as an example when I was planning to make this video, because they do it more often. I was going to use Nianners as an example because she did exactly the same thing as Knox, but she did it before. But Knox really shook things, and I think it is better for the channel to address it. I also really want to make him suffer. I am going to be honest and straightforward. I want him to pay for what he did, so I am focusing on him. But the truth is, there are people like all these comic book pros who antagonize their audience. The whole "it's time to grow up," "you're sexist," "you're a bigot," "you're evil," things that games magazines do, games companies do. You shouldn't do that. It's unprofessional and self-destructive. Don't antagonize your audience. Who is my audience? Well, I can list my audience as follows. The same target demographic as shonen in Japan. That is group of males ages 10 to 30 to 20. I mean 10 to 20. That's one of my target demographics. Another target demographic is anyone who likes fantasy, which is not in conflict with the other, and anyone who likes lollies, regardless of age. Basically, my target demographic is the same target demographic applied to pretty much all isekai novels in Japan. People who like lolly, people who like fantasy, people who like shonen, and and I try to keep it PG-13 for that reason, because, well, first of all, I think all the erotic stuff is better off on Pixiv. Outside of the official content, so to speak, outside of the books, so that only real hardcore fans obsessed with Ruwa will find it. I also think it is, how do I say it, obstructive to the story when you add sex scenes and all that, and it really widens my demographics. It allows me to put a wider demographic, as I said, the demographic of shonen. Ages 10 and up, well, in the West it would be ages 13 and up, young adult, all that stuff. And I think it is better off that way. I don't want to add sexual content, which I am not confident in writing, to a story which I think can stay family friendly, or relatively so. A story which can stay safe for work. I like to make them safe for work. I am not self-censoring or anything. That's why I write all these stories which I'm not confident in and put them elsewhere. They are like a bonus. They are an extra. They are canon and not canon at the same time. But I also like to add fan service because I like it. That's my target demographic. The same people who are reading, for example, Shield Hero, Goblin Slayer, what other example, Mushoku Tensei. They are my target demographic. The people who are not my target demographic are feminists and communists, so fuck them. They can go fuck themselves. I hope they stop existing because their ideologies are disgusting, and they have caused enough harm already. The difference is, I don't attack people who are my audience. I attack people who are not my audience. And that's the problem with Knox. He's attacking people who are his audience, who have always been his audience, who he claimed to support in the past. And he's not explaining he changed his mind. He's being aggressive against people who are actually part of his friend circle. You don't do that. You don't shit on your audience. Well, that's it for today. Have a nice day.